Good afternoon. I hope everyone enjoyed all the amazing announcements about the lake house this morning. The best lake house is a connected lake house. The modern data stack is a vast ecosystem of data and AI tools. How many of you recognize this image? This is Matt Turk's famous data and AI landscape that he's been publishing since 2012. This is what it looked like in 2016. And this is what it looked like in 2021. More than 2,000 tools, 4 times the number in 2016. The data and AI landscape continues to grow explosively with new tools and even new categories emerging every year. Surrounding the lakehouse are all these data and AI tools. Our goal is an open foundation. We want to make it easy for you to connect and easily share data across these tools. We want to help you unlock your data analytics, data engineering, data science, and machine learning use cases. But integrations take work. When you come across a new use case, you can often spend days or even weeks trying to figure out what tool to use. And once you've figured out what tool to use, how do you connect them? You're reading through tedious configuration guides or setting up connections manually. And once these tools are integrated, how do you make sure that the right groups have the right access to the right data? Let's think about Legos. My 3-year-old son, Adam, has recently discovered Legos. And as I was working on this presentation, I couldn't help but think about all these data and AI tools like Lego blocks. With Legos, you don't think about how the blocks will connect or fit together. They just do. You can focus on the shape, the color, and maybe even the size. Similarly, we want you to focus on your use cases. We want to make connecting data and AI tools to your lakehouse as seamless as connecting Lego blocks. That's why late last year, we launched Partner Connect. Partner Connect is a dedicated portal within Databricks that enables you to discover and seamlessly connect data and AI tools to the lakehouse. From within the lakehouse, we're making it easier to connect to these tools, so you're not spending time thinking about how to connect or how to share the data. Instead, you're spending time unlocking value out of your data. You can access Partner Connect from within Databricks, and it does 3 things. It makes it possible to discover, connect, and trust validated data and AI tools that work well with Databricks. Partner Connect makes it easy to find and launch validated tools, everything from data ingestion to data science to machine learning. And Partner Connect takes care of complex configurations and passing the connection information to these tools. It simplifies integrations by spinning up configuration resources like personal access tokens and SQL warehouses. The integrations are validated, and data access is secured with Unity Catalog. Let me show you how easy we've made it. So I'm going to walk you through 3 different integrations from within Partner Connect. Okay, great. So here we are in Partner Connect in Databricks. I can see all the tools and integrations that are available to me. Now, let's say I want to connect to data from Salesforce, because I want to centralize my sales and support data. I could use Salesforce's REST API, or I can find an app for that. So here, I'll actually just search directly for Salesforce. And just like that, I can see the apps that can help me bring in data from Salesforce. I'll click on Fivetran, and I'll select the catalog that I want Fivetran to have access to. And I can see exactly which permissions that Fivetran is getting access to. Here, Partner Connect is automatically creating a service principal, a personal access token, and a compute resource, so I don't have to worry about creating these or configuring them manually. I can connect directly to Fivetran. So I just launched Fivetran from within Partner Connect, and it's such a seamless experience. I can see all the different data sources that I can ingest data from, and Fivetran has done the work to set up the destination information so that I don't have to. So I'll select Salesforce, we'll connect to the data, I'll authorize the Salesforce API, and then we'll kick off the save and test of the connection. Now, while this is running, let me tell you how much work this used to be before Partner Connect. Before Partner Connect, it's a 7-step process to create a personal access token, a 39-step process to configure an S3 bucket for Fivetran to write into, a 5-step process to launch a cluster so Fivetran can use that to write to the Delta tables, and 11 steps to configure Databricks as a destination in Fivetran. That's a whole 62 steps to pull data into Databricks using Fivetran. Now, in 6 steps, we'll be ready to do it. So I'm going to select the table that I want, account. We'll click Next. Awesome. And just like that, we're ready to start syncing data from Salesforce using Fivetran. So we'll let the ingestion run. You can see that the Salesforce data hasn't come in yet, but we'll come back and keep an eye on it. Now, Databricks Partner Connect does so much more than work well with ingestion tools. Let's say that I wanted to run sentiment analysis on some customer support data. I can scroll to the machine learning section, and I see a tile for John Snow Labs. Now, John Snow Labs' NLP library is the most widely used in enterprise production use cases. And I can see with this green check mark here that someone has already configured the connection for me. This is awesome, because this means that the libraries have already been deployed to the cluster. And since I have access to the cluster, I can use these libraries. There's also some notebooks that are already here that I can use as a great starting point. Now, John Snow Labs, the way to think about it is the models run fully distributed in Databricks. This means the model quality isn't restricted by the amount of data that can fit on a single node, which means more accurate results. Let's go back and see how the ingestion is coming along from Fivetran. OK, great. We went from 12 databases to 13, and the Salesforce data is coming in. Yeah. So I just showed you 2 very different integrations. One for data ingestion, where from Partner Connect, we're calling Fivetran, which is pulling in data to Salesforce. And then I'm showing you another one here with a distributed NLP model. We're also making it easy for data analysts. So I'm going to launch my favorite BI tool, Tableau, and we've simplified the connection experience here. But I still have to remember the connection details. Partner Connect has a specialized experience. I'll go to the Tableau tile, and we're generating a connection file which has the SQL warehouse information and the OAuth endpoint. And now when I launch that in Tableau, I'm ready to get started with building out my visualization. And we're well on our way with our analyses. So we just seamlessly used 3 very different tools with Databricks from within Partner Connect. Secure, automated, fast. So how did this all work? Let's take a look under the hood. So Fivetran is pulling data out of Salesforce, encrypting it, and putting it in cloud storage, and then using Databricks' copy into and merge commands to load that into a Delta table. Now, copy into does so much more than just insert data. It keeps track of the duplicated files and updating metadata by default. It supports options like schema evolution. And with the Photon execution engine, you're benefiting from perf optimizations. For John Snow Labs, the Partner Connect integration takes care of automatically deploying the libraries to the cluster. And with John Snow Labs, you can think of it as a distributed NLP model. So this means that the model quality isn't restricted by how much data can fit on a single node, leading to more accurate results. And with Tableau, we've worked on, I'll talk about 3 different types of optimizations that we've worked on with the Tableau connector. So one is with authentication. As you saw in Partner Connect, it was generating a connection file with all the details, including the SQL warehouse details and the OAuth endpoint. Within the BI tools like Tableau and Power BI, we've also done work to simplify the connection configuration. And then the third thing is faster results. So we've done work to reduce the query latency and increase the transfer speed of the results to make sure that the results are getting to you a lot faster. With Partner Connect, it's seamless to connect partner tools to Databricks. And we have a variety of tools with specialized integrations. We're doing a lot of the work behind the scenes so that you don't have to. Partner Connect launched in November of last year, and here's what our customers are saying about it. Everything from helping with data ingestion to helping with organization-wide data literacy. Databricks partners, the Lakehouse is open and ready for you. Earlier this year, we launched a new Connect API, and we also have, on Databricks Labs, we have an open source reference implementation with automated tests. We've seen an 89% year-over-year growth in the number of customers using partner integrations. And 97% of our customers use one or more partner integrations. The modern data stack is vast and complex and full of data and AI tools. So where do you even start? With Partner Connect in Databricks, you can discover, connect, and trust these tools. It all fits together seamlessly like Lego blocks. And for those of you with kids, you don't have to worry about stepping on the Lego blocks. Partner Connect is available in the product today. This is an area I'm really excited about, and our team has been working really hard on. We have members of the Partner Connect team here. Please stop us and reach out. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this amazing conference.
Please welcome George Fraser, co-founder and CEO, Fivetran.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to be with you all. My name's George. I'm CEO of Fivetran. We are a data pipeline that you've all just been treated to a lovely demo of on the talk right before this. And so you've all seen how easy Fivetran is to use. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the principles underlying Fivetran. And these principles are how we built our data pipeline, but they can also be applied to other vendors and to data pipelines that you build yourselves. And in particular, I'm going to be talking about these 2 concepts, ELT, which stands for extract, load, transform, to be contrasted with ETL, and CDC, which stands for Change Data Capture. What are they, and why are they becoming so popular, and what are the great benefits that you can realize from them? So what you see here is a diagram of the old world and the new world. On the left is the state of the art for building data pipelines perhaps 10 years ago. So we see all data starts in a operational database. Maybe it's an Oracle database, maybe it's a Postgres database. Even if it's an API, like a tool that you use, behind the scenes of that API, there's a database. The systems of record are always some sort of database. That's where the data lives, that's where it starts. And if you want to work with that data in a unified environment, you are going to have to build some data pipelines that get the data out of that system. And the state of the art 10 years ago was that people would build data pipelines themselves. Most data pipelines historically have been built in-house and maintained by engineering teams, not by vendors. This is something I often have to explain to investors. When you think about the market size for data pipelines, you have to realize that most data pipelines are DIY. And the best way to assess this is ask 10 software engineers, have you ever done a project where you built a data pipeline for your company to move data into some sort of data warehouse? 8 of them will say yes. Depends how old they are. If they're 25, maybe 3 of them will say yes. If they're 40, all of them will say yes. So these things are ubiquitous. Companies all over have been building and maintaining in-house data pipelines for years. And typically, when you were building data pipelines in-house 10 years ago, they would be based on nightly snapshots. So you would write SQL queries that would extract a complete snapshot of all the data in your database, typically once a day, and you store that in a place like HDFS if you were in the Hadoop ecosystem, or maybe S3 if this is a slightly more recent example. And this would be very large because typically it would contain many copies of the same thing because you're running these every night. And so you would typically build a 2-tier system where you'd use something like Spark or Hadoop to summarize this data and load a smaller representation into your data warehouse. And that's the transform step. And critically, you're doing a lot of this transformation when you're getting the data out of the system and when you're loading it into the data warehouse. So this was the state of the art. What is the world that I am describing that exists today, that you get with Fivetran and that a lot of people are building even when they're building their own data pipelines? And that's what's rendered on the right here. So data still starts in databases. More and more, it starts in places like Salesforce and Stripe and other SaaS tools as well. So these have become a bigger and bigger part of where you get data from. And you're going to extract data out of these data sources. But critically, modern data pipelines are based on change data capture. So you are not pulling snapshots. You are getting just what has changed out of each source. So if it's a database, that means you're reading the change log. If it's an app, that means you're writing some very complicated code that goes and figures out, what has changed in my Salesforce instance since 15 minutes ago. And that's the big benefit of change data capture, is that you can do it much more frequently. So instead of having a latency of a day or even hours, you can have a latency of minutes, and we're working on seconds. We will get there. So these incremental updates, they get loaded into your lakehouse. And critically, they get loaded in the same schema they started in. So that's what is meant by ELT. We're going to defer the transformation and curation of the data until later. We're going to load the data from the source into the destination in exactly the same format that it was created in the source. And there's a couple benefits of this. One of them is it's just good separation of concerns to treat the problem as having these 2 steps. But the other benefit is that this means that we can build reusable connectors. So you can defer this problem. The bottom half of the right side of the screen, you can give this problem to a vendor like Fivetran, because all ELT pipelines are fundamentally the same. Their job is the same no matter what you intend to do with the data. It means that you can actually buy a tool to solve this problem for you instead of having to build everything yourself. And this is going to be really important when you're dealing with an exploding number of data sources due to the sheer number of different applications you're using to run your business. And then lastly, you are going to transform the data. You wouldn't be building a data warehouse if you didn't intend to transform it. But you're actually going to do that in place. So you're going to have a dimensional schema. You probably, if you are setting up a new stack today are going to be using DBT. DBT has just absolutely exploded. It's on escape velocity to 100% market share in this segment. And you're going to use that to transform the data, but it's all going to take place within the same system. Having two logical tiers is still a good idea, but you no longer need to have two physical systems. You can have a single lakehouse that functions both as the initial stage and the final stage of your data. And that is going to have great benefits just in terms of developer productivity. You don't have to deal with shuffling data between systems. Fundamentally, you're just executing queries that run inside a single system in place. So I've talked a lot about the technical details of how this works under the hood. What are the benefits? If you are the CEO of a company and you switch from the old world to the new world of ELT and CDC, what are you going to see that's different? So on the left, I'm trying to describe some of the problems that you see at the end of this entire process when you have a system that's based on custom data pipelines and nightly snapshots. So, on the top, that's some chart that's sitting in some dashboard that you're looking at. It shows the growth of awesomeness in your company over time, which fortunately is going up and to the right. I hope you all are having increasing awesomeness over time. But there's a couple problems with this chart. One, the x-axis of that chart doesn't go very far. It ends at 12 a.m. last night when your nightly snapshots ran, if you're lucky. The second problem is that there's a bunch of asterisks on this chart. There's a bunch of data sources that were just too hard to get data from. There were SaaS tools that had weird APIs. Our internal team was so busy just making the connector to our production database work, they just didn't have time to go and build connectors to all these other data sources. And so we just have to put an asterisk on this chart and say, well, this does not reflect the following 6 other forms of marketing spend that we just couldn't get into our data warehouse. Second problem with this traditional stack is the cost. You're going to pay a lot of money for compute and storage dealing with all the amplification created by all those snapshots. A lot of these stories about companies with petabytes of data, guess what? They didn't really have petabytes of data. They had terabytes of data multiplied thousands of times by nightly snapshots that have been running for years. And so there's a lot of money that you can save by switching to CDC. And a lot of egress costs you can save because you're not moving your entire database every night. And this is not a straw man. Those of you who work at large companies know what I'm talking about. People really do this. They move their entire production database every night from one system to another because that's how their ETL pipeline works. And the last problem is there's just only so much data analysis you can do. Because you have devoted so much time to building and maintaining these custom pipelines, you just run out of steam. And typically, you'll have your key metrics like your revenue numbers, but a lot of the other things that you would like to do, a lot of the other data you'd like to analyze is just not there. In contrast, on the right, as you move into the modern data stack, you can expect the x-axis of your chart will get closer and closer to now because the latency of the entire system is getting shorter and shorter. You can expect to have fewer asterisks on the data you're looking at. You actually have connections to all of your data sources, and so everything is reflected in the analyses you look at. You spend less money, and you can do more kinds of analysis. No longer are you just looking at sales reports, but you can look at much more in-depth product data. You can look at things like engineering velocity. There's lots of great data analysis that you can do on data from places like Jira and GitHub that will tell you things about how your engineering team is doing. And if you have all that data in one place and you're not consumed with maintaining a handful of data pipelines internally, then you can address these types of things. So this is the new world that awaits you if you adopt these new techniques. These ideas, like many new ideas in technology, started with small startups. Rendered here on the left is our designer's rendition of a bunch of startup offices on Market Street. We should have a little homeless person there sitting outside of them. So like at Fivetran, all of our first customers were technology startups, many of them in the Bay Area. And because technology startups are often early adopters of new things. And they got great benefits from these things. They were able to set up greenfield data warehouses very quickly using the tools that we and others provided. But over time, over the last few years, we've seen more and more large, older companies adopt these things. So there you see on the right, that's our rendition of an office park, every office park down in Sunnyvale right there. You all know what I'm talking about. And we've seen more and more large companies adopting these same techniques, in part driven by people who worked at these startups going to these large companies. It's our best source of referrals is just people changing jobs. If we really want to improve our top of funnel at Fivetran, I say we just need to get all of our customers fired, and then when they go somewhere else, they'll bring Fivetran with them. So whether you're a small company or a big company, whether you're using a tool like Fivetran, or whether you're building pipelines internally, by adopting these principles, you can get these great benefits. And I hope I've convinced you that there's a new way of building data pipelines and that you should participate in it. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Francois Ajenstat, Chief Product Officer, Tableau.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are here to talk about analytics without compromise. Now, for those of you that don't know Tableau, our mission is simple. We help people see and understand data because we know that data is so critical to success, and we want to help everyone in your organizations make better decisions faster. Now, sometimes we say that data is like the new oil. I don't really like oil. What I think about is data is more like air and water. It's required to survive and to thrive. And the more that we can bring data to the people, the more that our organizations can be even more successful than ever before. But unfortunately, there is a data gap. The number of companies that want to be data-driven is quite high. Your CEOs are saying, we want to be data-driven. We want to use data effectively. But the reality, it's not like that. Most people in organizations don't have the data, they don't have the tools, and they don't feel empowered to use the data effectively in the organization. Now, why is there a gap? Well, we live in this new era. It's a data era, and there's more data than ever before. In fact, it's more like data chaos. We've heard it from George and everybody. There's more data and growing everywhere. Data is essential. It's driving the transformations that are out there. And the average organization has more than 900 different data sources that you need to use to bring all that data together. And that's a huge challenge. So how do we tame this data chaos? How do we make sense of it all? Well, one of the challenges that we see in our organizations is that you can bring all that data together, but we're creating siloed solutions for data. We're creating a different solution for business intelligence, a different solution for AI, a different solution for operational analytics and streaming analytics. Well, why are we duplicating the data and duplicating the efforts? We think that there is a convergence coming. We're combining BI and AI together. We're combining the power of the data warehouse with the strength of AI. And we're bringing it all into an interface that enables anybody to make better decisions anywhere. And this is really how you get analytics without compromise. Don't worry about trade-offs. Think of how do you get data to the right people as easily as possible. And it's powered by the Lakehouse, which gives you fast, secure access to all of your data, no matter where it comes from. It's smarter and more powerful than ever before by leveraging all the smarts in Databricks, enabling you to run models and give it to the users so they can interact with that data as they have questions. And it unlocks that value of that data and brings it to the people. So whether you're an analyst or an executive, whether you're a data engineer or a business user, everybody needs to become data powered. And that means leveraging all of the data that you have, making it fast, and bringing it where your users live. Now, this analytics without compromise, this convergence, it's not a pipe dream, it's not the future. It's happening today. The leading organizations in the world are using Tableau and Databricks today to unleash the power of their data. In fact, there are more than 1,000 organizations that are bringing the power of these technologies together to bring analytics without compromise. No trade-offs, huge empowerment. And this is the value that we're bringing together, enabling you to unlock all of your data, unlock all of the value that exists in Databricks. Now, we didn't want to just talk about slides. We actually want to spend some time showing you this power together. And I'm joined today with Kayla, one of the amazing solution engineers at Databricks, who's going to run this demo live. Give it up for Kayla. Are you ready? Let's do it. All right, let's bring up the demo. All right, so here we are connected. This is Tableau, and we're connected to Databricks Lakehouse. Pretty straightforward. And we're just going to look at the number of transactions that are in our Lakehouse. Double-click, and boom. There's 1.3 billion transactions in this Lakehouse. But you saw how fast it was? That's the power of the Lakehouse. Now, let's slice it down and ask it how many transactions over time. Just drag and drop, and boom, we get our answer. Can we break it down by categories? Boom, just like that. This is Databricks and Tableau slicing and dicing billions of records, just like butter, right? We're slicing through it. Any question, we can go through it. Analytics without compromise, fast, secure, and easy. Now, every time we dragged and dropped, it was a live query to Databricks. We didn't replicate the data. We didn't duplicate it. It's fresh, it's live, it's secure, it's instant. That's what you just saw with those simple clicks. But we can go a step further. So it's not just about looking at the historical data. That's powerful. But people don't want to know what happened. They want to know what might happen. And here, we're going to combine the Lakehouse and the compute capabilities. We're going to bring models directly in the interface. Because time and time again, what we see is some data scientists become model factories. Every time a user has another question, it's another model, it's another process. Now we're going to bring the models directly in the interface. So here what you're actually seeing is historical patterns, but we're bringing in a model endpoint right in the user experience. So if we look at this particular field, it's actually calling Databricks live. And we're running predictions live. And we're interacting with it live. So all that code right here, you'll see that when we click in that dashboard, it's actually going to compute that model dynamically. So here we're looking at our different stores across the region, and we're going to click. Now when we click, we're going to query the Lakehouse and get the latest records, and dynamically compute that model on the fly. And you saw that forecast update. Let's choose a category. Click, and the new model runs. Choose a different one, and the model runs. This is dynamic ML right inside of Tableau. And we can go compare different things. So let's look at two different categories. Whatever question you have, whatever insight you want, you now have the easiest to use tool and the most powerful Lakehouse to bring that data together. And this is the power of Tableau and Databricks. Awesome job, Kayla. And this little demonstration was really to show you how we got analytics without compromise. We were able to analyze our data with the speed and interactivity that your users expect. Whether you have small data or massive data, it's fast, it's live, it's secure, and it's available to all of your users. And this is what we're trying to do with Tableau and Databricks, is enable you to bring data to even more people, solve more use cases, so that ultimately everyone in your organizations can make better decisions faster. You can unleash the power of data and AI in a way you've never dreamed possible. Thank you very much, and enjoy the conference.